Oh, good morning, everybody. Yeah, it's 10 a.m. How you doing? I'm Ed Parcaut here with Brian Galke, and we're ACES53, and that stands for ACES is attitude, commitment, enthusiasm, and smile, which I don't do enough of. The smiling part, I watched one of my inner Edisons the other day, and the lady, and I'm just like, it must have been one of those days I was exhausted.
Yeah.
And then I got really into it when she was talking. So it just depends on, I guess, on your guess. But anyway, so 53 stands for, so it's really aces and a joker. The joker is that unique ability that you bring to the table. The 53rd card in the deck is the first joker. That's what aces 53 stands for. And we talk about sales and just about everything to do with sales lately. Last week we were talking about, you did your little, what I learned at grade school.
Right.
What did you learn at what?
NLP. Yeah. So neuro-linguistic programming over at Apex headquarters, which is Ryan Stewman's building. So some people, he just opened up a new building. People can come in, rent out the space, and instead of doing it at a hotel, it's a little more personal. You know, you get the Wi-Fi, things like that, creates connections. So did that neuro-linguistic programming. It was long days, man. 5 days with 8 to 10 hour long days.
Wow. And that was all instruction, or is that just because you had stuff afterwards?
No, so it would be instruction, exercises, all that. So I take it back. It'd be like 1 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So 7 to 9 hours. One of the days we went till 10. And that's what you don't leave to go do food. You bring, or lunch or dinner, anything, you bring your food with you. So it was long, but they cover a lot of information. We walked away with multiple certifications. So NLP certified, timeline therapy certified, and then NLP coaching certified. So it was worth it.
What the hell is timeline certified?
Timeline therapy is where if somebody's got a traumatic event they're holding on to, how you can walk them back through re-examining the process back in their timeline to help remove some of the emotions from it.
Gotcha.
Pretty neat exercises to go through with people.
Gotcha. So basically you put it on trial.
Yeah. It's really,
no, I mean, because that's what somebody else said. You go through and you put because we had a guy on Helping the Brave who talked about that's what helped him. Right. And I was like, what is that? And he's like, it basically you go back through and you put your all that stuff on trial.
Right. It's that a really good way. If somebody who's never been familiar with it, is what you can do is Google the Dickens method by Tony Robbins, because that's really what he does if you ever go to UPW. And it's how you can re-examine things from the past as a third party and really see, does it have a lot of the same information, the same feelings you had before, but there's a lot of language patterns that you really become aware of when you study NLP. It's kind of crazy. Like Janine Driver's famous for saying cancel. When somebody says something that she doesn't like, or, they talk about cancer or anything like that, Janine will go cancel. And they'll talk about that. You don't have to accept somebody else's words, because when we take words in, then we kind of ingrain, we believe what are said. So you can get into some rabbit holes.
I was like going, I'm sorry, but that whole cancel just reminded me of cancel culture. So I'm sorry.
Well, yeah. Well, it's like that, but it's for your own thoughts. And your own
I know, but it's just like, oh my God, what, even in therapy, I got to have to worry about that.
Yeah. Well, they'll say, so Nathan and Christy, who were the coaches, what they'll say is, I reject that.
That sounds more better.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. And the other one is like, clear the screen. So if they're talking about something, they said the wrong thing, they go, up, clear the screen. So it's just things you can say to yourself that, the mind is always running all the time, and the mind can't hear no. So that's why we say, don't think of the pink elephant, things, the one you've heard over and over again.
What do you mean it can't hear no?
So your brain doesn't know when you give it a negative comment, like, don't think of the pink elephant, you still think of the pink elephant, because the way our brains are wired is we don't hear the no, we don't hear the don't when we're talking about things.
Well, I thought it was just because when you tell like your daughter, don't go out with him, and she's going to go out with him. So you tell him, go ahead, go out with him. He's a great guy.
Well, that's reverse psychology. That's a whole other.
I know, but that's basically what I understand what you're saying, but it's the same thing. They didn't hear no, they heard, I'm going to do it because out of spite, but basically, yeah.
Well, and it's learning to reframe language that you want to do. For example, with having a kiddo, it used to be, oh, don't fall down or don't look down. Now you have to give them instructions on what you want them to do. And it's interesting because whenever anybody's climbed anything high, what did people always used to tell them? Hey, don't look down. What's the first thing people do?
Look down.
Exactly. So you learn to say things like, keep your eyes up. It's just re-examining words, pattern, structure, reframing things. So how can you take a negative occurrence and look at it from a perspective of how did it help you instead of why did it happen to you? It's a lot of cool stuff that's been out there. It was started by the two therapists. I did the 30 minutes about it the other day. but you can dive in deep into it. What's really interesting is, do you know who Craig Siegel is?
I've heard the name. I don't know him personally.
He's speaking at an event in October that I'll be at, and I picked up his book this weekend. And one of the things he said changed his life was getting certified in NLP. And then he talked about The Greatest Showman, and then he talked today about Batman as his favorite guy. I'm like, I like this guy
because he's got a tool belt.
That's right. That's exactly what he said. He talked about the Matrix, all the things we talked about. So
yeah, I would have just said Tim the Toolman Taylor. He had a tool belt also.
This is true. So let me see. What is the name of the book? It is The Reinvention Formula by Craig Siegel. So if you ever see him on Instagram, he's Craig Siegel CSL. I reverse stuff a lot.
It's too bad you can't get one of the people who's taught your NLP to come on the show and talk a little bit.
I'll have to do that. Last week I knew they were flying home, so was I, but we'll have to work. I'll reach out to him. I'll see him this week on Thursday and Friday. So
yeah, so after Wednesday, after Wednesday for me, I mean Thursday, I'm just shot after being on for an hour, and it just you got to set it up, get it ready, meaning that you get your I know you're supposed to be able to go without a PowerPoint, but I use my PowerPoint as my overall agenda, right? And everybody's like, amazing, your PowerPoints are amazing. It's like, oh, I have a special VA for that. Yeah, his name's Ed Parcaut. Anyway,
exactly.
No, it's just easy to,
That's what I got to work on after we get done today. I got to talk on Thursday, and they're like, "We need your PowerPoint by the end of the day." I'm like, I will be finishing that here shortly.
Well, the difference with mine is it has a ton of hidden slides that I update, and they just sit there. Like mine's done for this week unless I have somebody to recognize, because I did it last week before. The only thing I haven't done today is or I should say, it took me till yesterday to do my actual letter for Rotary. I do an email every day, every Monday. And it took me till the end of the day yesterday to get that done. So,
well, and that's
because I worked all weekend.
There you go.
And it wasn't like I worked on my business,
right?
Not in my business, and that's the thing. It's like, I'm going to sit here and watch TV or watch football. I might as well be doing something else at the same time. So,
yeah. And too many people, I've never understood. I wasn't raised by a dad who was really big into sports. And so the one times I really watched sports was going to friends' houses when their parents were really into it. What I don't understand is like fantasy football. I can understand
I don't either.
Favorite team, but I don't understand fantasy football and why you want to follow somebody that closely. So,
I got other things to do, but a lot of people play that just so they can, because one of the guys like, I was so happy that your team won and was down so far when they came back because I beat so-and-so on the fantasy football. I'm like, that's great. Yeah. I only care that my Broncos finally won a game. Maybe they can pull it out going forward. The first two games they lost by a point.
Yeah,
that's got, but the third one, oh my God. And that was like what Rotary, I talked about it. But I did a video. There was a TikTok about why the Dolphins coach wanted to beat the heck out of the Denver Broncos because he was a ball boy for him and went on and an intern as a coach, intern coach. And then he was really big last year in the San Francisco as the offensive coordinator, and he was wanting a head coaching job. Broncos wouldn't even take his call. So he had something to prove.
What's the I'm drawing a Ted Lasso, so it's kind of like Ted Lasso, where he was the assistant. He was the ball boy. Then he went to the other team to be a coach and everything else. Have you seen that the last season?
Yeah, I've seen everything about Ted Lasso. So
yeah,
I saw the whole series. My wife finally watched it after I told her every year for 3 years. This is a great. You should watch it. And then she's like, "That was amazing." Yeah, I know. I've been telling you that for 3 years. So move on.
Well, it's funny. It started off as a Saturday Night Live skit.
Oh, was
what they turned it into? Yeah, that's where
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Yeah,
and it's if anybody hasn't watched that show, it's a great show. But yeah, it's definitely one worth watching. Similar to you, I was kind of working this weekend, so I was at an event in Universal Studios with Chris Casamassa and some other people. So we'll talk about what I learned because in there's a guy who started doing videos for his skits. So have you ever heard of Master Ken? So I know he's.
So it has to be like in the karate world, right? In the martial arts world. Yeah.
So what he basically did is he watched the show The Office, and he loved the sarcastic characters that are in it, and the satire and the sarcasm of the show. So he created a fictional character called Master Ken, and it's little things like one of his instructional videos is how to properly break someone's neck. and he just does all these really goofy things. And he's a very dickish personality, you know, and he thinks he knows everything. But they created this character just as a way to kind of make fun of their own industry. So yes, Chris, his mastermind is Business Combat. And why is it called Business Combat? He was actually in Mortal Kombat. He was Scorpion. And then he's been in the movie industry as well as growing up in the martial arts. So his dad owned a studio, what we used to call a dojo back in the day, right? And I've only taken very, very limited martial arts like 20 years ago. But what people would call a dojo is now just called a studio. And so it was all studio owners who are coming in to figure out different business concepts. And one of the main guys, the guy that's on the poster, is Master Ken, is his alter identity. His real name is Matt Page.
Is he the one with the eyebrow up?
Yes, the eyebrow up, the fake mustache and all that. Yes, that's the guy. So his real name is Matt Page, and his entire thing was creating and monetizing videos based on the platform. So, you know, like we always hear about the overnight success. He's been doing videos as this Master Ken guy for like 5 to 7 years. And all of a sudden, 3 to 4 years later, a video will pop and go super viral. And that's why now he's flown all around the world as a joke. Like when they have these serious competitions, he's like the comedy guy that comes in and kind of makes fun of everybody at the same time. So a simple one, if you go and look him up on YouTube, like there's a martial arts kick apparently called the axe kick. And he's like, well, the first problem that you have here is none of you are actually using an axe. So then he tapes an axe to his foot and is like kicking people with an actual axe. But it's one of those that he makes fun of all the industry and everybody loves it. So he gets hired to go do this. And he said when he shows up, about 25% of people know who he is and they get the joke immediately. But then the other 75% don't know who he is. And it takes him a good 10 minutes for people to figure out he's joking and not an a-hole. So it's a lot of fun, though. But he got up there some really fun facts. And you'll find the first one interesting. So on Facebook, 1.3 million followers. On YouTube, 970,000. TikTok, 720,000. And Instagram, only 320. And I asked him, I'm like, why is Facebook such a big thing? And he said, I don't know. It was just the first one we started doing the videos on, and it went nuts. And a few of those videos got picked up years later. And so he's literally 3 times larger on Facebook than Instagram. And usually people are the total opposite of that. You know, Instagram is larger than Facebook, but because it's brick and mortar stores and people are in business, that one really took off. But so he makes money.
Can I interject? I think here's the reason. Most people who are trying to be influencers try to build their Instagram first. I think the issue was with Facebook, it is more parents, right, and other people who have their kids who go into karate, you know, martial arts and other stuff. There's more parents on there. A lot of kids are like, I'm not on Facebook. That's my parents' thing. And then later on, when they turn 20 something, they're like, I want to see what everybody's seeing with my parents and everybody else. So they join Facebook also. And so I think that's the big thing is a lot of people are still over there. And that's why it's the biggest platform. I'm being told constantly it is the biggest platform. It is a place you want to put all your ads because everybody's there, whether they say they are or not. They're there.
That's exactly it. And he actually talked about that. So what do you got here? So the revenue streams that he does as the Master Ken is direct ad revenue, right, from people from his channel, product placement from sponsors, brand awareness, and then he gets hired to do commercials as well. So he does what's it called? Not Vimeo, Cameo, where people will hire him to be the Master Ken guy to leave somebody a message. And then there was another one he does, but he then went through all the different monetization thresholds on why do you want to go for each of the different ones, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. He said Instagram, it's so hard because there's no literature that says this is what will help you go viral or anything else. But the monetization for YouTube was only 500 subscribers, 3 public uploads in 90 days, and 3,000 hours watched in a year, or 3 million views, and on YouTube Shorts in 90 days. So it's constantly changing all the time. But he gave content on like what's most important, and we've talked about that before. Is like the thumbnail is huge. Like you're good about that. I'm not good at doing the thumbnail portion stuff. But,
well, again, it just depends on what you're looking for, right? I mean, it depends on what the YouTube channel's for and the other channels. I mean, everybody says differently. You need to pick what you're going to do day in and day out and be consistent on it. Pick that channel, be consistent, period. And actually, one of the things that people forget is, what are you solving? What problem are you solving? Well, he's doing entertainment, but the real question is, what problem are you solving? And once you solve that problem, what next problem did you create for them? Right. And I said that to a friend of ours who does a lot of stuff out of Las Vegas. And I go, what problem are you solving? Because I looked at a lot of this stuff, and he's like, where were you fucking 2 years ago? Excuse my language. And I said, learning. And then he goes, you fucking, now I'm starting to think about this. And I've seen some of his videos since. He's been doing much better. And that's just it. It's like, you have to treat it like a business.
Right.
Who are you trying to reach? And what problem are you solving for them? Period.
That's exactly one of the things he talked about. He said, what you want to put in there is, what would people type into a search bar? What's searchable, trending, controversial, intriguing, or memorable? But he said the problem that most people have is exactly what you said. They're just putting out videos thinking, oh, I know exactly what I want. But what you want may not be what your ideal audience wants. And so they were suggesting that everybody does a variety of things, and then see where do they get the most views and likes, and then start diving into that niche. And Adam Lyons talked about that as well. Yeah,
it's huge. The issue you have is, it's hard to be one person doing everything, but you need to figure it out.
Right.
I'm across a lot of brands that I have, and it would be better to have one brand.
Yeah.
That's just not going to work for me. I'm going to eventually have enough VAs, enough people handling my stuff, so it's not a problem. But the most important thing is what I found, which a bunch of people have reached out to me and said, hey, I can do this for you. This is what we do, which is, I don't know what they do. So you take whatever video you have, you cut it up into 3 to 10 minute segments. You get at least 2 of those. So if you do a podcast, keep your normal podcast together, but then also cut up 2 more that is 3 minutes to 10 minutes a segment. Do a good thumbnail. I like, something like that. Take a couple pictures of yourself doing, stupid looks or whatever, and use that in that thing. And you can figure out, you can do A/B testing or whatever. But the other thing is, do 3 shorts. And do the 3 shorts. What I say to do the 3 shorts first, see what goes viral, and then find that in that video and then put that out. That's just what I think. And I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that's what I've been doing and going to keep doing going forward. One thing that I just recently did is I separated my Inner Edison podcast from my regular YouTube channel. It had its own channel now, because I have over 12. I don't have a lot of subscribers. I only have 12,000 something, but they were saying that it was killing my algorithm. And so that's what I was told. And then I was told the other day, it doesn't matter anymore because they put them as podcasts.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, which is it?
And that is a good question. Nobody knows for sure, because do you put it as a live? Do you put it as a podcast? Do you put it?
Well, here's the back up. So the problem, if you just do it as a live, and you don't go in there so I've been going in and messing with them afterwards, putting the same information I put in all my other videos, the key, the tags, the other stuff, and they're starting to go. They're not going viral. What's the matter?
Right. Oh, I was hearing a voice for a minute, so
it's me. It's me, God. I'm talking to you, Brian. So help, get me out of here. Shut up in there. Anyway, but back to your controversial thing. That's huge, right? I found that. So it's like radio. I look at it this way. What goes really well on radio is very controversial, especially talk radio. And you have 2 choices. You got to get them emotional about to call in, right? That's just, to get them to call in is the same thing to get them to click.
Right.
So if you do that kind of stuff, that's why that one video might went viral, because first of all, if you say hack on TikTok, it's a viral video because it's the most stupidest thing in the world, but that's just how it works. That won't work on YouTube, but that'll work on, but it's like, okay, because I saw it's like that video of mine that went viral was about mobile homes. Give me a freaking break. Because it said something about a hack. But then, I'm going to do another one here, because some people on there were talking about this new hack where you can pay your loan off faster if you make bi-monthly payments, which has been around since as long as I've been alive. But it's a hack. And so I'm doing one where it's like, this is what they said to do. But however, if you just take a 12th of your payment and make that little extra portion every month, you do the same thing, and you're not stuck in a bi-weekly, because a bi-weekly payment, they don't make your payment. They hold it until the second one's there and then make it for you. So they're making interest off of your money while it's sitting there. The reason that it goes down is that there's an extra payment made a year.
That's what I'd always heard, was just make one extra payment a year and I'll pay it off like 11
right,
years.
but divided over a 12-month period. It's easier. Mm-hmm. So if it's $2,000 a month, it's 166 more a month. Easy to do. But bi-weekly, unless you get paid every 2 weeks, is hard to do.
Right.
So anyway, I'm just saying. So what you need to do is, again, back up. I have a actual PDF. I think I sent you it about this. What to do? Go through your whole channel, find the other competition like your channel that you're trying to create, see what they're doing, see other stuff, and then you need to really look. It's like your YouTube channel is just like going into business and knowing your competition, knowing who your perfect client is, knowing how to reach them, knowing what they want. Why is it any different than anything else? It's not.
They're not, but you have to think of them differently, right? So
no, I'm going to say it's just like your business. You need to know who your perfect client is on there. Who are you trying to reach?
Sure. But like in TikTok, Instagram, you're trying to just stop the scroll. In YouTube, what's the search, right? So it's a different strategy.
Well, with the YouTube, when they type in the thing, why are rates high today? You want your video about why are rates high today? That's an easy one to do.
Did we lose Ed?
Huh?
You froze for a minute, so I don't know if that was me or you.
I don't know. I didn't know. We're on each side, so don't worry about it.
Yeah,
we'll be fine. Okay. Anyway, I don't know where I was going, but anyway, the bottom line is it's the same as a business. You run it the same way, but you're right. Each one might do something differently, and you just have to figure out which is what you want to do, what works for you.
Exactly. So it's
consistency is what works for you.
Yes.
Even the wrong
is what everybody talks about.
Even the wrong thing consistently will work. It's about being there, right? I mean, I was talking to watch some guy. And he was like, "How'd you go viral?" He goes, "Well, I was told by so and so every day to do a video. So every day I did a video. I was live on TikTok." And he goes, "And then one day I just didn't feel like it, and I talked about my time in prison, and that one went crazy. And then from there forward, that's what I talked about."
That's Ken Walls. I don't know if you've met Ken. We'll have to have him on. He has the Grow Live Academy, and that's what he learned is by going live every day. For just a little period of time. It's not always the same time of day, but he goes live every single day. That's how he grew his entire business. And then after a while, he did it on Facebook, and then Amazon came out to him and was like, "Hey, we want you to do it there." And of course, LinkedIn, and he does it in all these places, but going live is something then people look for. And you see it. There's several people I know who, Brian Bogart's one, Albert Preciado, he goes live every day. And what's interesting is in Instagram, you can have it, you kind of do like at everyone that's following you, and it says, "Albert invited you to be in the video, invited you to this show. Brian invited you to this show." So people will jump on. And even if it all depends on how long they stay on, but it is interesting to see what lives do versus swiping content, because if you have somebody on a live, they're going to the top, they're looking at their stories, and they may stay with you for a few seconds, but you're not fighting the scroll as much. You're just fighting stories.
Right. But I mean, the going live, like the Instagram, we could go live on Instagram. You just have to have another phone or iPad, and you set it. And same with TikTok. There's a lot of people we know that have that all around them, and they go live on every channel.
Yes.
There's no way to do it through a StreamYard or whatever else you're trying to do. And some people go, "Why?" It's about being consistent on multiple channels. We're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, hey, and some people like, "Well, your stuff over here, your YouTube's not going viral." That's okay.
Right. But people
will
look for you. Right.
It will. And we're not I'm not trying to get 1 million followers on ACES53.
Right.
We're trying to, and that's again, well, no, the issue is you want to build whatever it is with actual people who are going to engage.
Right.
1 million followers doesn't mean they're going to engage. Anybody can make fake followers and get there, but if they're not engaging, it doesn't matter.
Well, and they said that's what a lot of people talked about just recently. I've been watching more and more. YouTube is the hardest to go viral on anymore because there's so much content being uploaded. But the nice thing about YouTube is once somebody finds you, then they dive in deep and learn more and more about you. So even like I'll have a video that some will go, and my numbers are very low, right? Maybe around 200 views. But what's interesting is some will go higher than that. And all of a sudden, then you see the other numbers trickle up a little bit because that's somebody who then starts watching another video, then another video, then another video. That's something you don't necessarily have. Yes, on Instagram and TikTok, if somebody really likes you, they'll go through it. But usually it's just like it, scroll, but they search you on YouTube.
Right. So, but what's nice about Reels, though, lately is I've gotten a lot more followers since I've been doing Reels.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a lot more. Not that it's just like so-and-so is following you now. And it's all real estate because I didn't post as much, we did our lives, but I didn't, it was not on Instagram. And for the past, prior to 30 days or 45 days ago, I didn't post much just because I was so busy doing so many other things. I didn't figure out how I was going to do it. And now we figured out how to do it. I want to do it and we're doing it and it's making a big difference. So awesome.
Yes.
Awesome sauce. So more of our story today, all over the place, but really the most important thing is being consistent on your posting and whatever. But before you do that, find out who you're trying to talk to.
Yes, that and try different things. That was the number one thing that, like I said, the Master Ken guy talked about. He said he threw out some ones. So again, his name's Matt Page. He would script out these ones that he thought were super funny and that would go and those would bomb. And then they'd put out just a stupid one and it'd be a huge hit. And so that's the thing is, don't try and outthink your audience. Just get your content out there and then let your customer decide what your future videos are. But he did make an important distinction. That is, when something like that lands, that needs to become your runway for a while. So when something pops, you need to follow in that for a while, ride the wave while you can. And then if it starts to drop, you can start going towards other things again. That's kind of, I can't remember if we had Ryan on here or not, but Ryan Majin, that's what he talks about is.
No, we haven't had him on yet.
We haven't had him on yet. Okay. Yeah, all right. We'll have to get him on. But he's got a whole method. I don't want to give it away if we have him as a guest, but like if you do CrossFit, don't only do videos on CrossFit, do a few about it, but then pepper in something else because nobody wants to watch somebody who's only pitching what they have instead of talking about what else have they done. So you could talk about your trip somewhere. For some people, it's what watch do they have, what clothes, whatever. But those are the videos.
Yeah, but back that shit out too. I mean, if you're trying to get regular people to watch your stuff and you're talking about this and that and this and all that stuff, you're going to turn people off. That's how I look at it. So, but back to your story, it's like what we do on radio, right? And it's like radio, who listens to radio? Talk radio is huge. We talk about real estate and finance, but we don't talk about real estate and finance. We talk about community most of the time. We have people come in because not everybody wants to know constantly about where rates are because they don't want to cry and other stuff. But it's important to give a little bit of information and then give entertainment. And that's what you should be doing. That's how I look. Talk about what you do after you've already given something 3 times. It's that jab, whatever.
Right hook. Yeah. Or right cross. I forget which one. Yeah.
Most people don't know what a right cross is.
This is true. Well, that's because that's toxic masculinity. How dare you?
Yeah, whatever. And that's another thing. Don't worry about that stuff. That's a fact. That shit will all go away in a few more years. So just be who you are. Enjoy the haters. Because what's weird is, after I had some viral videos happen, I'm getting reached out by people who want me to do these certain things and to promote what they do. And I'm like, how'd you find me? Well, we had these certain that you were, okay. And one of them was to it's like a Facebook group, but it's off. Right. It's this whole little new app thing they're developing and it's coming out and it's a great idea. But she kept calling it safe space. I'm like, stop saying that fucking word. I go, that might work with the younger ones, but and they're trying to get, I'm like, then because you're talking to the wrong person if that's what you're looking at. I don't want it. But what's nice is it's instead of being stuck on Facebook with their groups and you lose certain things, we talk about this all the time. It's another way to get it off. And and they don't want to be huge. They say that now, but once they start money coming in, I'm sure they're going to want to get bigger.
That's exactly the long-term goal is to grow and sell most things. It's always like, I'll never sell out until I get a record label, right? The indie musician, no, man, I'm in it for the music, love of music. I'm in it for the millions of dollars.
So, but bottom line, we talked about a bunch of stuff today. The most important thing I keep bringing up is be consistent on your posting. That's what I did over the weekend is I figured out my next 30 days because, we talked to Rob and Spock about it. He's like, I get my people out 6 months. Well, that's great. I can only do so much because I want to be current on a lot of my stuff. So there's certain things that you can post that for, and have what your system is and have certain things in. And I found out through who I deal with for on my mortgage side, they have a whole free thing that is really amazing, which I didn't know because I didn't take the time to look at it because we were so busy doing so many other things. And, over the past 3 years, now I have a little bit more time to do other stuff and research stuff to see what's best for me. So when we get busy again, it's in place.
Yeah.
And what I didn't talk about is I set up my whole, the go high level and my whole ads and everything. And I'm freaking getting tons of ads right now.
There you go. Well, that can be for the next week. We can talk about that.
Yeah. Cause we didn't get to it today. Because you had to talk about you and your trips.
Hey, I was sharing what I learned. I even talked about me and getting up to talk. I did get up and talk.
Oh, well, of course. That's why you're at all these places. Otherwise, you wouldn't be there.
Exactly. So,
all right. Thanks for being here. You can take us out. I'll hit the button and you can take us out.
Hey, thanks everybody for joining us here on ACES53. Ed, thanks for joining us today. Go to YouTube, subscribe, and come back and follow us on Tuesdays and Thursdays when we're live. Other than that, have a great day.